Hello, students, and welcome back to the classroom, COVID Classroom 2020. This is not exactly the classroom that you wanted, but this is the classroom that you have for now. My name is Borger. For those of you who know me, Borger, I just go by Borger. A lot of students do call me MamaBorg. I'm very maternal and kind, but I'm also very, very serious. Welcome back to school. These are unprecedented times in our lifetime, but our civilization has been through this before, and we're going to just try to make it work. Now, depending on how this day goes, it's going to be very interrupted. It's going to be very jerky. It's going to be very chaotic. There are myriad new rules in the school about moving into your classroom. There's going to be a lot of problems and issues. Just be patient as you can be. This is novel, just like the coronavirus. This is all new, okay? A couple of items. Who's Borger? I'm Borger. You pronounce my name like you're bored and you're angry, like Borger. Usually I say, hopefully you're neither in the course of my classes, but with remote learning, with Rose, with a lot of virtual passive seat work, I bet you're going to be bored or angry at some point, and that's okay. I don't have any feelings to hurt anyway. I'm kind of a combination of like Mrs. Frizzle meets the Borg from Star Trek. I really believe in making mistakes. I really believe in errors. Making mistakes is how we learn. Failure is how you learn. None of us are perfect. Everything is about the process. I am like the Borgs, though. Assimilation is inevitable. Resistance is futile. I have high standards, even though we're going to have, hopefully, some fun in here at some point. COVID fun. COVID tamped down COVID fun. Returning to school happens because of the collaboration between different kinds of entities, the state boards of education, departments of health, and the CDC. So those are the people that kind of make the rules for us. I mean, we follow those rules, like the one way in the halls, masks and social distancing, and hand washing. And those are the three big issues that I kind of want to talk to you guys and gals about today. Obviously, masks are the new thing. Depending on where you're at, if you're in first hour or seventh hour, your mask may be at a different level of comfort. Your breath may be funky, and you are wishing you had a breath mint. I know I am usually because I drink a lot of coffee, and coffee breath in that mask is no bueno, which is why I'm talking now, and I'm also standing somewhere near you right now, physically in the classroom, because just talking with masks is incredibly difficult. We're also going to maintain our social distance, and we're going to wash our hands as frequently as possible. You'll notice by the door when you came in, there was a hand sanitizing station. Make sure you sanitize your hands a lot during the day, and do try to avoid touching the front of your mask. It's hard, but try to avoid touching the front of your mask. It contaminates your hands. Couple things to keep in mind. Again, this is all new to us. No one really knows what's going on. Even though some of us act like we know what's going on, we're all kind of figuring this out along the way. The technology is going to fail. I tried to upload a 4-minute video the other day when I was at school on the Wi-Fi and it didn't work. Having hundreds of students all trying to get on their Google laptops at the same time is going to be difficult. The technology is going to fail. So let's just recognize that and embrace it when it happens. Be patient and recognize we're all going to try to figure this out along the way, okay? So, one, masks, the new dress code. You saw all of these signs coming into the building. You've seen these signs all over the building. I'm probably wearing a pretty awesome mask in class right now. They keep us safe. The big other thing is social distance. So why should we social distance? You know, I'm a person who wants to know why. Why do we do something? I don't want to just be told to do something. Tell me why we're doing it. So the reason we social distance is because COVID spreads mainly among people who are in close contact within 6 feet for a prolonged period of time. Spread happens when droplets from an infected person land in the mouth or nose of people nearby. Droplets can also be inhaled into the lungs. So please keep your droplets out of my lungs, and I will try to keep mine out of your nose, okay? So the other issue is masks. Masks also help with moist droplet spread. So according to the Illinois Department of Health, Face coverings must be worn if you're in a building at all times, even when social distance is maintained. You should always wear a mask. Um, and also, one of the things that we're coming to find out as new science emerges, as new data presents itself, is that it might not just be moist droplets anymore. We know that indoors, those distance rules don't quite matter as much. And this is in an article that came out just last week on Thursday, the 18th, or the 13th, excuse me. It takes about 5 minutes for small aerosols to traverse a room, even in still unmoving air. Traverse means move around. And the 6 foot minimum is misleading because people think they're being protected indoors and they're not. So your best bet is definitely going to be the mask, even though it's uncomfortable, okay? I did some science in my classroom. Those of you who don't know me, I love science. I should have been a science teacher, although I wouldn't have any hair probably or eyebrows from the Bunsen burners and whatnot. But I love science. So I came into my classroom recently and I did a couple of kinds of experiments with some dust and different versions of the fans blowing, the fans that are probably blowing right now as I talk. And you can see different ways in which the air moves based on what was kind of happening, whether I had the fans kind of venting one in, one out, if they were both blowing in, if they were both blowing out, if no fans were going at all. The fans are really probably annoying, but so is COVID. I'd rather be a little bit annoyed and have a little extra noise than to have COVID, which we still don't know exactly all of the ways it can hurt us. So I like this. It's annoying. We can't shake hands anymore, but we can do Spock's live long and prosper. Obviously, I'm a Trekkie, but don't judge me. You keep your moist droplets out of my lungs and I'll keep mine out of your nose. I actually had a bunch of t-shirts made that say these things, so you might see me wearing them every once in a while, just as reminders. Nobody likes the word moist, so I will be using that. You don't want my moist droplets in your nose holes. Like, we don't know each other well enough for that. So let's just keep our masks on, even though they're uncomfortable, because again, COVID itself is more uncomfortable than these masks. And they're the new dress code. Get sassy with it. So there are going to be a couple of different changes to our classroom as a result, and to our learning as a result of this COVID pandemic that we're experiencing right now. These aren't permanent changes, but these are the changes that we're undergoing right now. We might pause here for just a hot minute in case anybody has questions or issues. I actually just paused because I needed to take a drink. Remember when you could take a drink of water? Those days are great. So there are a couple of different changes to education. Masks and social distance means that you guys and gals are, you're going to watch a classroom live while you're in class, and then you're going to do passive seat work with me at a distance. So in the past, I've not had to teach with a mask on, and that's why I want to come to you in these videos, because I can talk to you. It can be definitely much more animated. This was my very first time trying my voice amplifier. Hopefully I figured out where to put the mic better. It's a learning curve. So I'm going to stand and roll film like I'm doing right now, and then the real live me is going to be standing next to me while virtual me, talks. It's like nesting dolls of Borger. That's either exciting or terrifying for some of you. And the projection will play, and then you will get a mini lesson for the day, and then after that time, you guys and gals will go and do some stuff on those delicious, wonderful little Chromebooks you have. Now, here's the issue. Originally, this is what my classroom was going to look like. You guys and gals were going to be 6 feet apart. You're going to be 6 feet from me and 6 feet apart from one another. When I do that, I can only have 9 desks in class. But because of the way the balance goes, many of my classes have 16 or 15 students in them. So this is actually what the classroom looks like now. Yeah, and this is the seating arrangement many of you are probably seated in. That's another really important component of this. Seating charts are going to be mandatory because we need to be able to contact trace in case someone pops hot for COVID. Now, I don't know the status yet, but for example, in Heron High School, just down the road from us, they had 2 students who were positive for COVID. And so it's really important to know who have you been in contact with? Who have you been in within 6 feet for more than 15 minutes? So that if someone in class does come up hot for COVID, that we can kind of go through, or the Department of Health can go through and do that contact tracing. And so 32 inches apart is a lot different from 6 feet apart. 6 feet apart would be my preference, but it's just not possible. So this is where we're at right now, but you still see there's a bumper in front of me to kind of maintain that distance as much as possible in as many ways as we can. So this looks a lot different from my classroom. And a lot of you are new students to me, but some of you are returning. In the past, my favorite is sitting in a circle and doing seminar discussions. I really like to do a lot of art projects. You'll notice in this picture in the back of the wall, there's all of this artwork. My room looks really, really probably pretty naked right now as a result of like having the fans blow and all of that kind of stuff. A lot of times I used to have mats, especially former enrichment students. You guys and gals remember the mats all around the room and everybody could kind of lay down. I had blankets. That's not possible anymore. And I always like to do a lot of group work, particularly with food. But again, it's hard to put candy in your mask. I guess you could put some Skittles inside the mask and kind of eat them slowly throughout the day. But again, we can't get each other's moist, wet droplets into each other's nose holes. Definitely not going to be acting out and hanging out under a blanket. Don't you wish you knew what was going on under there right now? I know what's going on under there. No bird calls, no presentations, and no recitations out loud. We can't do choral readings out loud together because, again, that kind of increases the COVID spread. And I don't know if you've noticed, I've put my face on all of these students' bodies. It's wonderfully creepy. Okay, so this is the COVID classroom of 1918. 1918 was the time of the last pandemic. If we look at this, everyone's nose and mouth for the most part is covered, but what are they doing wrong? They're not social distancing. Look how close they are. Everyone's getting some moist droplets in each other's nose holes there. So this is only going to work, and we're only going to be able to stay open if you guys and gals follow the rules outside of class as well as in school. We think we can do a pretty good job in school. It's up to you to do this outside of school. So if you want to come and sit and be in a physical space with other people besides the people you've spent all of your time with for the last 4 months, we need to follow these rules outside of school. I don't know if you need a pool noodle, get something so that you can maintain social distance and make sure you're always wearing a mask. If not, we're probably going to end up going remote like everyone else has, which is less than ideal. One of my favorite kind of COVID moments that I read about was back in July when an amusement park opened up, and to keep people from screaming and spreading moist droplets around, the phrase was born, "Please scream inside your heart." And that is what screaming inside my heart looks like. There's a little mini me with that big hair screaming inside my heart. We might be able to pull this off. We might be able to do this. It takes all of us working in concert. It is going to be difficult. I can tell you that it was hard to wear a mask at first. I'm up to 3 or 4 hours right now. I'm going to have to go 5. We'll have to talk about outdoor mask breaks and things like that. But a couple of final thoughts for you before we move into whatever next phase we're going to have today is I want you to be safe. I always want you to make smart choices. I want you to know that I like you. I don't even know you yet in some cases, but I still like you. And finally, please, you keep your moist droplets out of my nose holes. I'll keep mine out of yours, right? No, do you really, it's coming at you in 3D. You do not want that, right? And I'm an English teacher, so I made a works cited page. Now I'm going to turn it over to the live Borg in class, and we're going to kind of go from there. Hopefully the technology works, because my intention is to get you all plugged into your Google Classroom or your D2L shells, and we'll move forward from here. Peace out.